Hey everyone, welcome back. Please do excuse the lighting, it's rainy. But today I'm going to be reviewing Benefit's FLORA Tint, and we're going to be talking specifically about the formula and sharing with you some Korean dupes. These do have a range of colors because I won't be focusing on the shade dupe, just the formula itself. So I will be doing a side-by-side lip swatch and also a blush swatch as well because Benefits can be used as a blush. But anyway, let's go ahead and get started. First we have Benefit's lip tint. This is in the shade FLORA Tint. Sort of have this rosy pink color. I only put 2 dots on each cheek, but it looks very natural. You can barely see it actually. I'll have to add some more for the full look. It is quite sheer once you blend it out. For the lip product itself, it's quite pigmented, very buildable. For the formula, it's not as watery as I thought it would be. It does sort of have a semi-oily formula, but once it dries on your lips, pretty much dries matte. Very lightweight, you can barely feel it on your lips. Overall, it does look more like a matte finish. For the full look now, we have a brighter rosy pink color. It doesn't have any orange undertones. It is going to look red under some certain lightings. Overall, very beautiful color, and it gives a brightening effect. When you first apply, you can kind of feel a semi-oil, semi-watery formula, but once it settles and oxidizes on your lips, it does dry up, so you won't be able to feel the watery slash oil formula. However, it does leave a subtle gloss effect. For the formula, it's really easy to blend, also quite easy to blur. You will have to work fast. However, really pigmented, really buildable, gives a really rosy flushed look. Barely has any transfer. It looks just like when I applied it. So starting off with the first one, this is Etude's Dear Darling Water Tint. As I mentioned earlier, I won't be swatching shades that are similar. They're going to be different. I'm just going to focus on the formula today. If you are curious, this is in the shade number 2, Cherry Aid. The shade color, however, it does look quite similar to FLORA. This lip tint is the classic dupe for Benefits. As you can see from the bottle, it's very watery, a lot more watery than Benefits. Also, one thing to notice is the scent. Has a really strong fruity scent as well. For Benefits, it's very mild. For the formula, because it's so watery, when you do apply, it does bleed a little bit. It also runs really quickly as well, so you will have to move fast. But once it does dry, it looks quite similar to Benefits. Moisturization also feels the same. I've only worn it for a few minutes, but Benefits has already dried completely. It doesn't have that glossy finish anymore, and it looks more matte. For Etude Houses, it's also a matte finish, but with that said, it probably has a really good stain. So I did apply on my cheeks, and because it does bleed a bit, you have to work fast like I mentioned earlier. However, I do find that it doesn't really transfer that well on the cheeks. It looks a little bit blotchy. It's not as smooth as Benefits. For Benefits, it's easier to blend and to create a blushed look, but for Etude Houses, it looks a little bit more patchy and uneven. When I try to blend it, it transfers more onto the fingers than being applied onto your cheeks. This one is a lot more affordable. It's less than $5 depending on where you buy it from, so it's not a bad start. Alright, next up we have another Etude product. This is their Fruity Dewy Tint, which recently launched this year. Let's take a moment to admire this shade color. But anyway, it's number 2, Fake Parfait. This is similar in the sense that the formula, it has that semi-oil formula that Benefit has. For Benefit, however, it is very short term, so it does dry matte. However, for this one, it is a glossy finish, and so you will still have that oil-like, watery formula on your lips, which gives more moisturization. So I recommend this one if you do prefer more moisturization instead of a matte finish. It has a really good stain as well, really buildable. It's not sticky, it's not waxy, it feels very lightweight. Everything's similar to Benefit except that it has more moisturization. For the blush effect as well, it is quite pigmented. Gives a very beautiful blush-like effect. Blends really well in the cheeks with the rest of your makeup. One thing that I'll have to say though is that because it is a glossy finish, you will be able to see that dewy, glossy finish on your cheeks as well. You see how it's sort of reflecting with the sunlight here. If you're doing a dewy makeup, however, it looks very, very, very beautiful as a blush. Transfers very little, has a really good stain. next up, this is Romance Lasting Water Tint. This is in the shade number 4, Vintage Ocean. This one is quite similar to the previous one from Etude. It has that semi-oil, semi-watery like formula, and instead of drying matte, it keeps the oil like formula, slightly a bit more thick than Etude's. It also has a slight glossy finish as well. It does have a fruity scent, but it's not super strong. Very moisturizing, very lightweight, very buildable. It's not sticky, it's not waxy. Right now on my lips next to Benefit, it feels super moisturizing. Benefits is starting to feel a little bit drying. Similar to the previous one, it also has a dewy blush finish. This one doesn't look as dewy, it's a little bit more natural, but it's also quite pigmented, really buildable. It does transfer a little bit, but that's probably excess product. Really, really pigmented on the lips. Next up is Peripera's Ink Mood Drop Tint. This is in the shade number 10. I'll put the English name on the screen because I only have the Korean name here. This is the second most watery formula out of all the products I'm going to review today. Very, very pigmented, easy to blend, easy to build color. It doesn't bleed as much as Etude's, but you do have to work quite fast with it because it is quite watery. It does leave a natural glossy finish. And again, for this one, it has a semi-watery, semi-oil-like formula. When you apply it on your lips and it settles, it's still going to have that oil, watery-like formula. You can see it does transfer quite a bit, but it's very, very pigmented on the lips. Has an amazing stain. This is probably the most pigmented out of all of these. It can last up till the next day. For the blush effect, you do have to work really fast because it stains right away. So you will be able to see the brush marks if you don't blend it right away. But once you do blend it, it works really well, blends very well, very pigmented. It works with the rest of your makeup, but it also does give a dewy finish. It's not as dewy as the previous two, but it does kind of leave a semi-dewy finish. Alright, last but not least, we have Clio's Dewy Blur Tint, and this is in the shade number 3, After Light Pink, which is quite similar to Benefit's FLORA Tint. You have this rosy pink color. I actually added this last minute because I didn't realize how matte Benefit's is. For this formula, it applies watery and then it dries matte, but it has a velvety matte finish. It feels very moisturizing for a matte finish. This is one of my favorite go-to lip products. I always have to carry one of these with me because it gives my lips a better look. Very lightweight, very blendable. You can see how I kind of blurred it around my lips here. It can create a very beautiful blur-like effect, but it's very versatile. It has a semi-blurred effect on your lips as well, so it fills in the wrinkles of your lips pretty well. It gives a very soft and buttery finish. For the blush as well, it applies very pigmented, so a little does go a long way. Applies evenly, gives a beautiful flushed effect. You can see it still has a very pigmented stain. I would say Clio's is more of an upgraded version, and it's also the latest lip tint as well. They also have a wide variety of shades. For Etudes, it's been out for a long time. In my personal opinion, I actually prefer Clio's more than Benefit's, just because of how buttery and soft the matte finish looks. It does have a sweet-like scent, but it's not strong. I do want to mention all three of these don't have a gel finish. They have a semi-oil, semi-watery formula, which is a little bit different. They're not as thick. So that pretty much wraps up this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.